Sorry about that. Just making sure everything is good. Because I have music playing in the back, but I don't know if it's playing. Oh, just the music? Okay, good, 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 good. That's what I wanted to make sure that that was playing. But since that is playing right now, let me go ahead and get started. So, what's going on, everyone? I spelled discretion wrong. So before we end up doing that, let's actually make sure I spelled discretion. Discretion right. So then we don't look silly on here. Because sometimes I don't know how to spell. So let's fix that. Oh gosh, I'm human. That's all it means. All it means that all that means is I'm human. That I don't know how to spell. All right, there we go. No face cam. This laptop doesn't. The laptop I bought a new laptop, so this laptop does not have a face cam on it. So you guys will not be seeing my face for a little while until I can actually get a webcam set up somewhere, and we can have that going. But anyway, yeah. So. I'm a little nervous to talk about this, but at the same time, I do want to talk about this. Just with what's been happening these past couple of weeks, something I do want to talk about. Yeah, I was watching that earlier. There's actually some pretty interesting stuff. So I had to jump out near after Zero Horizon was announced. I had to jump out so I can do this. And then also, I'm gonna have later on. I'm gonna have my my Discord chat open a little bit later for those who want to jump in here and add to whatever conversation on here as well. But I do wanna talk about what's been going on these past couple of weeks. Hopefully my voice isn't too loud, or the music isn't too loud over my voice. As it is, let me know. But before we get started, before we get started, I do want to talk about a couple things that kind of made me want to do this live stream, actually, so I can actually talk to you guys live, and so we can kind of discuss this in here. And I want to hear what you guys have to say too. I want to give a shout out to someone who I recently came acquainted with. His name is Quentin, aka Geek. He did a video about this a couple weeks ago, and I was watching that, and it was just something that was just very heavy on me. And because everything he was saying, it was just it makes sense, and I can relate to that 100%. Being a black man in America, and how we go through so much stuff and the things we've seen. And then also, I was watching a podcast yesterday. If you guys don't watch, if you guys do watch WWE or don't watch it, there is a tag team on WWE, which is called the New Day, and their whole thing is spreading positivity and everything like that, and they have their own YouTube channel, Up Down Down, and they did a podcast speaking on this, and they had someone named Andreas Halls, and that entire podcast was just 100% just moving, man. Like I almost shed a tear, just because of everything they were talking about was truth. Like every aspect of their lives, of what they had to deal with, was 100% true. And And that's what really made me want to do this today. Like, I really, 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 really wanted to do this today, so I can speak on that. And here we are. And they said something too that kind of made sense too. This is always in very uncomfortable and not a popular topic to talk about. But it's happening right now, and to not talk about it, and to not, for me to sit back and not say anything, I feel like that's not. I don't think I can. I couldn't really, not say I couldn't live with myself, but I would be upset for me not to take advantage and not to talk about this as it's happening. And hopefully that me playing my part in talking about this, we can continue to talk about, continue to talk about this and let this be in conversation, because if we keep ignoring it, then it's not going to get better and it's not going to go away. It's still going to be around. So that's what made me want to do this. And also I put viewers' discretion because I know I have younger audiences here that aren't in their teens or in their preteens. The reason I put viewer discretion is not because of the language or whatever, it's because of the topic itself. And while listening to that podcast, excuse me, get some water. I should have got water when I was doing this, 'cause I'll be talking for a little bit. But I put viewer discretion on here because what they were saying in the podcast, Andreas Halls was talking about something where he saw a tweet about Nickelodeon or something like that from a parent, and they said, Nickelodeon is stealing my child's innocence away. And in a way, I understand that, because when you talk about this stuff with your kids, it takes away that notion of we're all equal, because that's how we're all raised. We're all raised to love one another and treat each other as equals. And when stuff like this happens, and a child who is black or white or Latino or Asian are discriminated in school because of the color of their skin, they're confused. They don't understand, because they say, well, I thought we were all equal. And to have that conversation with your child is something that can be very hard. So that's why I have younger audiences here, and I know they're gonna probably sit down and watch this, but I urge you to, and I'm taking a bold step in saying this, but I ask to listen to this with your parents. Let them kind of break it down to you in a way that doesn't take away your innocence, and at the same time doesn't give you too much so you can't understand it. Because I understand I understand trying to comprehend everything at a young age. And I've seen stuff too on social media with parents say they're shielding their kids away from what's going on. Now, I don't have any kids. I have my nephew, who is near and dear to me 100%. I would do anything for that boy. Anything, literally anything for him. Sometimes I have to watch my step sometimes, but I wouldn't say don't shield your kids from the main point of living in a world where we're all the same, but give them the main point of it. Let them know that, hey, and it's different conversations with different people. Just the main point of it is that no matter what color we are, no matter what religious background we do have, we're all the same. God made us in his image, and his image is we're all the same people, no matter what. And I believe that, if we have more people in that mindset, that things like this wouldn't happen. And it's heartbreaking, but we'll get into that later. But like I said, viewers discretion, not because we're going to be swearing and stuff like that's not even it, just because of the information on here that I don't want to be the one to take away that innocence. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to instruct and educate, but I don't want to destroy the perception of life for younger ones. That's not my job to do that. But yeah, take the time, talk to your parents about stuff so we can all be better educated, so then when we get older, we know that, this is the future I want, not this future of hate. So, but anyway, if you guys have not been keeping up with what's been going on these past couple weeks, there was a man named George Floyd who was brutalized by the police. He was accused of having a fake $20 bill, and the police, they caught up to him, and of course they used unnecessary force to hold him down. One of the officers put his knee over his neck, the back of his neck, and kept it there until he died. And that's just one other black man who was killed because of police brutality. And because of that, I believe that was like the teetering point. And there was another point that I heard in the podcast, and I'll explain that as well. But I feel like that was just a teetering point for all African American who live in the U.S. or who live outside, or mainly in the U.S. We were like, we're through. We're tired of it. We've had to deal with this for a long time, and this was the last straw. And what made this particular movement so powerful was because it wasn't just us. And what I mean by us, it wasn't just black people. We had all colors of life here, marching with us in every state, and to the point where it became every country, where we were like, yo, this is something that this has to stop. We're supposed to depend on the law enforcement to keep us safe, and I can say, as a black man who lives in America, my number one fear is when I sometimes step outside is this the day that I get pulled over, or is this the day that vigilantes are gonna misperceive who I am by what I'm wearing, and this be the last day? That's something that people shouldn't have that in their heads 24/7 because of what they've seen on the news. There was I forget his name. I'm gonna look it up as we're talking, but in February there was a young black man who was just jogging, and went by a house, and people saw him and said, hey, he was trespassing, and then took it upon themselves to act on it, and then killed him. I mean, like really though, like that's I'm still such at a loss for words when I hear stuff about that. It's ridiculous. And it's just ridiculous when you hear stuff about that where he wasn't even, there was no proof of he was robbed in that house. There was no proof of anything. He was just trying to better himself, his name is it's right here, Ahmaud Arbery, and he died just because he was, and I hate saying this, but it's so true, wrong place, wrong time. It's ridiculous. Just because he was a black man who happened to walk past here. And I'm still just taken aback by that. And then we get this George Floyd incident where police end up using unnecessary force, and it's just ridiculous. Living as, like I said before, man, me being a black male in America is scary, because I can easily be like in the same boat, and it's so crazy because you think about that, because you're like, what if that was me? What if that was me who was, because I walk around here sometimes too. I walk around here my area too, and sometimes I have my sweater on in the morning because it's cold, but I don't I don't put my hood on. I just walk around and I just keep my hood off, just because of that reason. What if one day I'm end up walking around the wrong house and people, get the wrong idea and then take action, or they call the police and they take action just because I'm black, and then I end up, that'd be like my last jog. I don't want to have to think about that, but that's just what we're born into. I had someone hit me up a couple weeks, like after when everything was going down. She DM'd me, and she told me that, I'm so sorry. She's like, I didn't know that that's how you lived your life. I didn't know that you went through this on a daily basis, because the way I was brought up, that wasn't something that we never really worried about too much. But now hearing about what happened to George Floyd and hearing everything else, I told her, I was like, look, it's fine. This is something that the second I was born, I inherited it. I inherited all my generation's problems of being a black person. I took on the burden of everything, just like my sisters did, just like my cousins did, my friends, my nephew will have to take on, so it's not anything that. And it was funny because I was listening to that podcast, and it was Kofi Kingston who said it. He said, he had friends who hit him up and told him about this and all this, and I was just like, this isn't something that's new. No, it's not new to us. I was very fortunate to not have to deal with that too much in my childhood, but I have dealt with it as I gotten older. And it was just something that you slowly realize. And I'm kind of rambling right now, but kind of going back to the point before I drift off too much. For everyone, every race to stand up and say, this is ridiculous. It was very, very moving to me, because this is something that we've always kind of would be screaming at. We're like, man, we are dying, like we have the police who are taking these ridiculous actions against black people because of the color of our skin. I can be, like I said, I can just walk down the street and I can be easily I can be mistaken for someone else, or I can be easily just be affiliated because of the color of my skin or what I'm wearing. That's another thing too. We have to be careful what we wear. We can't wear 100% what we want too much anymore. And I think who said this? I think it was Xavier Woods on that podcast. It was Xavier Woods. He said that we have to dress so we're not intimidating to everyone else. And I mean, intimidating means we're not threatening people when we walk down the street. So we have to wear certain clothes. We can't wear certain colors because we're going to be affiliated as a gang or whatever. And we have to dress in a certain way so that we don't make people feel any more uncomfortable than they already are around us. And that's crazy to really think that you have to dress a certain way so then you don't make someone you sit next to, someone in class, someone you work with, someone you're on the bus with, or just walking down the street, you happen to pass by someone who gives you this weird look. You have to dress in a certain way so you don't make those people uncomfortable. So we have to coddle to the entire world so the world doesn't see us as a threat. That's something that, and it's not just black people, it's any other race that can be affiliated as gang members or I'm not gonna go there, but it's really insane, and that bothers me too, because there's people who, everyone's not like that. Everyone is not like that. Everyone is very, I would say a good 75% of people who are seen as a threat aren't. Then that's it breaks my heart when I always got to think about that. Even I had a coworker who always tells me, "Hey man, don't go outside with your hoodie on. Don't walk around with your hoodie on." Because he knows, he's not saying it to joke. He's saying it because he's like, because we had these conversations all the time at work. I'm not working now, but we used to have these conversations all the time. All the time we had these conversations because it's just something that we can agree on, and we talk about this almost all the time. And it's 100% true, man. We cannot go anywhere without dressing in a certain way. And I'm not saying I dress nerdy to knock people off the set. That's not why I like dressing like that, because that's who I am as a person. But for other people who are just like, I gotta dress like this so I don't intimidate people, that's crazy. It's just something that, like I said, something that we have to do. Something that we all burden. As a generation, we burden the past generation. That generation burdened that. So we have a whole generation of things that black people have African Americans have dealt with, that now we have to deal with. And it's it's a sad thing to kind of hear, but it's the truth, and that's why I'm here talking about this, because I want to. I feel like I've heard everyone else kind of give their not interpretations, but speak their voice, and it's like, yo, it's my turn. It's my turn to do it now. I'll use this platform to do it, and I don't care that it's just something that people say, oh, dude, why are you using this to talk about? Why are you doing this, and why are you even talking about this? Because it needs to be talked about, even after all this calms down, this is a topic that has to be continuously talked about, because if we don't talk about it, then it starts to fade away, and people disregard stuff like this again, and I'm not saying this is the reason, but it made sense. When I was listening to that podcast by the New Day, Xavier Woods, he said, because the world has been on this fast track of distractions, no one has really seen all the incidences where black men have been brutalized by the police. And now we're in this pandemic. Everyone has to be home. He said everyone has to be home. Everyone has to watch the news and all that. And then when this happened, everyone was like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean the police have been doing this for 20, 30, 100 years? What? Okay. And then now everyone's like, yo, we're going to stand up and we're going to stop this. And I'm not, excuse me, I'm not saying that that's the reason coronavirus was the setup for everyone to see what the police are doing to black people, but it's a good thing that we have more behind us. We have more people behind us instead of us, because I feel like if it was just us marching and protesting all that, we would just be angry black people on the street and we wouldn't be heard. I mean, yes, we're angry about this, but we're angry because this is not the first time, this is not the second time, not even the 10th time. This is continuously happening, and we're upset about it, and we're done. We're done. We're done. We're done crying over our fallen brothers and sisters because of this. We're done having to put up black. I'm not being. I'm not going to be. I'm not this. What am I trying to say? I'm not saying I'm annoyed seeing this, but I'm sick of seeing the hashtag Black Lives Matter, because all that means to me is that we've lost another black man to police brutality. That's what that means to me. Whenever I see Black Lives Matter, when I saw when I saw this the last time, it was for George Floyd. I was like, you got to be kidding me! Like we lost another black man. You know, it's not. That's why I feel like that hashtag is tainted. For it's like the signal that we lost another fallen brother. That's what that means to me. It doesn't mean anything else to me, because that's what it's affiliated with. And every time I see that, I'm like, yo, we just lost another black man to police brutality, or another black man because he was racially profiled of being a thug or a thief or all the above. You know, and I'm sick of seeing that. I'm sick of seeing it, because that's all that means. You know, and I feel like it can't mean anything else but that. And of course, you know, you hear everyone say, yeah, but all lives matter, all lives matter. And I couldn't think of a way to defend that until I was watching this podcast yesterday, and Andreas Halls said, Hales, I think it's Hales, said this. I may have pronounced his name wrong, I'm sorry. Said this, and it was such a good point, and I was just like, yo, I'm gonna use this today because it's such a good point. He said, yes, of course, in any other situation, all lives matter, but that house isn't on fire right now. You know, this house is on fire. So, you know, we need to focus on this and put this fire out before we start going back to all lives matter. Because yes, all lives matter, and in reality, if you look at it, and I may be over reacting on this, or putting 100 on 10 on this, but if all lives matter, then we're probably somewhere at the bottom tier of that anyway. You know, if you really think about that. So when we say all lives matter, you're kind of disregarding what the situation that's going on right now. You know, I get where you're coming from when people say that, but it's like you're trying to put a blanket over it, you know, and that's not the case right now. We're dealing with the police brutalizing and racial profiling African American males and females, and then they end up dying because of it. You know, there was another story I heard where Brianna, I believe her name is, I think it was in Arizona, where the police did a raid on her house. The boyfriend was not there. They were looking for the boyfriend. He wasn't there, or the husband. He wasn't there, and they kicked down the doors, ran in the room, and just shot her. And just shot her. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, so it's okay for you to just knock down the door. Not even, now I don't know if they said freeze, show your hands, da 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 da. But from what I'm hearing is they just kicked in the door, went in, and just shot her. Like, imagine, and it breaks my heart, because I can only imagine. And I was thinking about this last night, where I was like, what if I'm asleep and I'm home by myself, no one's here, my mom was gone. I was like, what if I'm here by myself, whatever time of night, the police rip down the doors, come in, go into my mom's room, and just start firing in there because they think somebody's in there. That could have been my mom in there, and she'd have been dead because of what? Oh, I'm sorry, this is the wrong house. That's never an excuse when you do something like that. There is nothing that you can excuse yourself or justify you doing something like, there's no justification. You cannot justify going into somebody's house, not even getting all the, and that's another issue, when you don't have all of the information besides he's black, he lives in this house, go ahead and go get him. Like, that's crazy. And then they had to have a shoot to kill, and I'm pretty sure that's not the thing, but everyone's mind is that we're gonna just shoot to kill, because first of all, you would shoot non-lethal rounds, gas in the, this is what what it should be. And I'm just kind of saying it from a civilian standpoint, but the procedure should be, you kick the door, you raid, right? Shield and all. Each room, you throw non-lethal like gas or flash on the floor, and get them to come out, and then you apprehend. You don't shoot to kill when you go into, especially if you don't have all the, and then what kill them, they're like, yo, yeah, we're sorry, the wrong house. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. That's the, I can't accept that, I can't accept that. There's no such thing as sorry, the wrong house, when you just killed an innocent. That's not even the house you just raided. That's not even the house you just raided. So that, and it hits me because, and I'm not trying to say other races are irrelevant, because it can happen to anybody. But in this situation, as it always does, it happens to black males and females, where we have to deal with that. There's times where I had to deal with it. I had to deal with that in my life, where it comes to racial profiling, or just racism in general. Not to that extent. I don't mean to segue from there to there. Not to that extent, but I've had to deal with that. And I was very lucky because, and I don't even know, I don't remember. I honestly, I tried to look back in my life and see, when did we actually get educated on this? All I remember is that I know my mom and dad, my aunts, and my grandmother enforced it, because it was just like, they told all of us, like, we all like, everyone at a certain age, we were told that, hey, this is the deal. And then we kind of slowly would see it. As we got older, we would see it in person. Now, I never had to really deal with this when I was in school, unless I don't remember. But I never had to deal with it in elementary school. In middle school, I went to a predominantly black school. Freshman year, same. We dealt with it a little bit, but it was like easily snuffed out. But when I was a sophomore, that's when me and my sisters really saw, like, that's when, like, we were at the perfect age to understand that. I'm not saying we were sheltered, but we just didn't have to experience it as much, because we lived in a predominantly black neighborhood. So, or we went to predominantly black schools, so we didn't have to deal with it as much. But when we moved to an area, I'm not gonna say where, but to an area where it was just predominantly white, because it was more privileged, that's when you see it more. And so we went to, my sisters went to a middle school, and then I went to a high school before we all went to school together. I remember the couple things I remembered was, I remember when, like the lunch tables, they were all racially, it was just a racial setup all the way through, like, and you can just tell, you can just tell by how many students were there of a certain race. Like, and I'm gonna be very blunt about this. And I'm not. Please, please don't get the wrong way when I'm saying the color of the people's skin or their nationality. I'm not trying to profile them. I'm just trying to give you a description about what went down or what I'm trying to get my point across with. Like we had this is what it was called. This is how they called it in school. This is what they said. They had the white table, right, with all the white people there, and they had like 5 tables connected in front of the office buildings and the AP store, which served like sodas, chips, and all that stuff. And then right next to them we had an Asian section, Asian table, where the Asian table had 3 tables, right? And they were all wooden lunch tables, right? All wooden lunch tables. And then after them, we had the Latino tables, which same thing. There was like 2 or 3 tables, and then in the back, like at the bottom of the section, we had the black table, which was one wooden table, one lunch table, right? One wooden lunch table. Wouldn't fit all of us there. Now, for me, I wasn't associated with any group. I just lingered around. You know, whoever I knew, I was at their table or whatever. We just played basketball most of the time. But then I remember there was one year where they ended up switching out all the wooden tables and got these metal lunch tables because everyone kept getting splinters and stuff. So they ended up switching out all with the metal lunch tables, right? So everyone got the metal lunch tables and everything, but the black table still had that wooden table for a while. I think they switched them out. I think my second semester of sophomore year, they switched the rest of the tables out. We didn't get a new table, I think, till my senior year. They didn't give us a new table, you know. So the school already deemed the whole race thing, where it was like, yo, we got this rickety table, but then everyone else get these nice metal tables. Like, are you kidding me? We're still getting splinters too. And I say we, I'm just speaking collectively. I'm like, yo, we're still getting splinters too. Like, what's going on? It was just crazy. And then we've had a teacher, and an administrator, the dean, I think he said something racist to someone, and it made the news. And then I think like ABC or what was it, Fox 11, one of those came to the school, and they were getting ready to interview everyone. And all the teachers and everyone, all the administrators and everyone would come to us, all the kids, because I think it was like 6th or 7th period. They pulled all the students out of the classroom. And they're like, look, this is what's going on. This is a situation, da-da-da. When they come up to you, say no comment. Don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut. Just say no comment. And just whenever they keep asking you, just say no comment. And I'm sitting there like, why would I not speak on it? Why would I say no comment? So I can protect the integrity of the school, because if there is racism going on, you don't want to be put on blast in front of the entire world. Like, that's what that says. You're telling the students to say, don't say anything, even though there's racism here and there's all this here, whatever. Don't let everyone else know. And it's like, why wouldn't we speak out on that? Now, I'm not going to say everyone had good intentions when they were on the news. I'm pretty sure half of the students there who were interviewed were just there to get their 15 seconds, like 100%. I believe that. We're all teenagers in high school. The news is coming to us. We're going to get our 15 seconds. But I think some of the other students, they were speaking the truth, you know. I don't think anyone listened to any of those administrators, because either, like I said, they were getting their 15 seconds, or they're like, why are you going to shut us up? You know, I'm glad they didn't come to me. They never came to me. I never ran into them, because I think I was in the library for that time. You know, I was reading my mangas. I think I was reading Ranma 1.5 during that time. I remember, because that's when I first ran into the series. I was like, okay, this series is cool. It's weird that he jumps from a girl to a dude all the time. It's funny, but I was reading that. But yeah, man, it happened at our school. I had teachers. Hey, what's going on, Cliff? I didn't say hi to everyone either. I'm sorry, I just got on my thing. We got JKW, Cliff, B was here. I saw J Dog in here. But yeah, man, it happened in school. I've had teachers come to me because we lived in a predominantly white neighborhood, and the schools were predominantly white, and we had such a small class of black people there. I was mainly the only black kid in every single classroom. Every single class I had, I was the only black kid in there. And it never bothered me. It really didn't bother me. It never bothered me that I was the only black person in the classroom. You know, it never phased me. It never messed with me with my academics. It didn't do anything. If anything messed with my academics, I was just lazy. I was just lazy. I think I decided to, I think my senior year, I was like, I'm just going to pull through. I ended up graduating with a 3.8, 3.6, 3.8. Because I was just like, I'm just going to do it. And I did. I graduated with a 3. I think it was a 3. No, it was a 3.7. I think I graduated. But anyway, you know, I had one teacher. I never forget his name. His name was Mr. Einemer. He was my math teacher. He was from Brooklyn. You can tell he had that Brooklyn accent. And I remember he used to pull me aside. I used to go in there during lunch, and he used to help me out with my homework and stuff. Till it became a point where I just go in there every once in a while and just hang out with him. And then one day he was like, yo man, come after at lunch, come in and see me. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went to go see him, and he was like, are you good? And I'm like, yeah, everything's good. And he was like, you sure? Like everything's cool? Like you getting everything? I'm like, yeah, everything's cool. I was like, why? And he was just like, you know, I was just a little concerned, you know, because I noticed that you're the only black person in my math class, you know, and I just wanted to make sure that you're okay with that. And I'm like, yeah, man, it's all good, you know, that being the only African American in that classroom, it doesn't bother me at all. Like it really doesn't bother me. Just because I've been used to it ever since I started going here. At first it kind of shook me, but after a while I just instantly just like, all right, this is what I gotta deal with. I'm the only black person in the class. It's not a big deal. Which he was cool about it, and he just kind of broke it down and all that stuff, and I'm like, no, man, I'm cool. And I had another teacher, it was my American history teacher. I forgot his name, but he was a very outspoken teacher. Like whatever's on his mind, he would address it. So during class, we were talking about something. It was something kind of casual, but on topic. And he asked me, he was like, yo, you notice you're the only black person in this classroom? And I'm like, yeah, I noticed it the second I walked in this classroom. Like, how would I not notice that? And then it was something about something on topic or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know if that's something you necessarily point out in front of the entire class. Like, hey, you're the only black person in the class. I don't know if that was the right thing to do, but in any other circumstances, I don't know how anyone else would take it, but for me, I was just like, yo, okay. Like, I don't know what you're trying to get at by saying I'm the only black kid in this class. But, all right, whatever. I know I'm the only black person in this class. You don't have to tell me that. So, but yeah, I can't say that he was trying to be funny or trying to make a point, but it's just stuff like that. It's just like you have to be a little bit more mindful of what you say and how you perceive your questions about something on that topic. And from there, like I said, man, the older I got, the more I had to deal with it. I've had employees who were racist. I've had customers who were where I worked or no. Let me start over. I don't want to say they were racist. They said racial slurs, and I had customers who were racist and say racial slurs. And like I said, man, the older I got, the more I dealt with it. The more I had to deal with it. I've gotten pulled over for whatever reason in front of my house. What's going on, Eves? And it was crazy because I remember I was just driving to my house. I saw the police. They were looking for someone. I slowed down because I didn't want to run right past them. And I remember they just turned down the street, and like we just split different ways at the same time. And I was in front of my house. I was getting out the car. I was about to get the car. And I see the sirens roll behind me. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, they just went down the street. How did they even turn around and come catch me so fast? And then I was like, crap. All right. So I already had everything in hand. Like, I pulled out my wallet. I literally did this. I saw them pull up. The first thing I did was pull my wallet out of my pocket and put it on my seat. I pulled out my license, and I quit my registrations in my dash in my glove compartment. That's the only thing. But I had my license and everything because I already knew. Because I already knew if they see me reaching for something, they're most likely gonna automatically think that I'm ready. I'm something bad. And I remember they came to my car and they're like, license and registration. And I was like, all right, cool. And I gave them my license, and I went in my glove compartment, registration, and I see another officer on the other side of my car. So I'm like, yo, okay. So, and the scary thing was I had a black stapler in there. So I was like, God, I have a black stapler in here. Like, please don't let them see this black stapler. So I instantly just popped my glove compartment. Luckily, my license was right on top. So my registration was right on top. So I grabbed it and gave it to him. And I see my mom looking out on the porch, and I'm like, yo, man, this could be the last time my mom will see me right now, if things go bad on their side. So it took them a while. They said, all right, here you go. They said, all right, you're good. And they said, oh, by the way, your tags are expired. That's why we pulled you over. And I was like, how did you see my tags if you were going down the street? There's no way you would have saw my tags just going down the street. So it's in. I tell people, and people are, oh, you might have a car that was in the description. I'm like, really? Like, my car fit the description, not anything else. So, and I can't 100% jump to conclusions, but I'm just saying that the description of having to be pulled over by the police, and in your mind, you're like, yo, this could be the last time that I would see my mom right there looking out the porch. And that's something that no one, I'm not going to discriminate. I'm not going to say every other race is irrelevant in this topic. But I know that this doesn't just happen to, black male and black females. This happens to Latino. I'm sure this happens to Latino females and males too. That in the back of their mind, like, yo, if I get pulled over and they automatically assume I'm drawing a weapon, even though I'm not, this could be the last time. So that's something that shouldn't be implanted in anyone's heads at any time. This is and this isn't just about police brutality. This is really just about racial profiling. Racial profiling is such a huge no-no. You can't assume somebody is this because of their race. You can't do that. That's wrong in itself, because then you're not giving that person a chance to show who they actually are. I'm probably the most honest, funny, nerdy person someone can probably ever meet. And for those who've actually had a chance to talk to me in person, I don't know how you guys think of me, but I'm pretty sure you guys think of me as a really cool person outside of doing YouTube or whatever. And I would hate to someone to automatically write me off because I'm black. Oh, you're black, so you're automatically this. It's like, no, because then you miss out on what I can offer. You know what I mean? And that goes for not just for people, but for jobs too. Like, if you my mom told me this, and it's so deep, and I hope you guys hear this too. It's pretty blunt. It's pretty straightforward. Where we were talking about this whole situation, and then she brought up, even in jobs, I can have the same qualifications as someone else. My resume is just as good. I've done all the above, but because of my color of my skin, there's a 90% chance that I will not get that job because of the color of my skin. Even though I'm 100% qualified, there's a 90% chance that I might not get that job because of the color of my skin. And I don't know if that's the case in anywhere I've applied at. I know everywhere I applied, I give them 100%, and I let them know, hey, this is how I work. This is my work ethic, and da-da-da. I'm pretty sure that's how I got most of my jobs, but I know when I finish school and everything like that, that's where that factor might play in. And it's not, I don't think it's not right, because you're not giving everyone there's no fair shot. There's no fair chance at anything. So being a black man in America, man, it's rough. It's rough. And then seeing this happening to George Floyd and Ahmaud, it's heartbreaking, because one was just jogging, just trying to get himself healthy. Another one was just probably leaving the store to his family, to his little girl, and they just end up dead because they were perceived as something else by another group of people, and they took actions that weren't necessary. Vigilantes killed this black jogger. The police, four guys. None of them said, this is what kills me. And there's a law that passed where now the police, if you see a fellow officer using unnecessary force, you have to stop them. And it's like, why do we have to have a law now to tell grown men that if you see something wrong, you stop it? That's for elementary kids. That's for elementary school kids. If you see someone doing something wrong, go tell the teacher. And now the thing that we told kids, we have to tell adults now. We have to tell adults, hey, you see something wrong, you go tell the teacher. It's like, are you kidding me? Why are we telling, why do you have to tell me that I have to stop them now? That should be automatically planted. There should be something that tugs on you that says, hey, that's not right. And you go off that impulsion. But people aren't wired that way, and that's crazy. You took an oath to uphold the law, but then but you take it in your own hands by saying, oh, he has a counterfeit bill, oh, he's this, and put a knee, you put a knee hold on somebody to keep them down. I think he was cuffed already, and they still held him there. That's incredible to me. How and someone said this in that podcast, how we're just slaughtered like that. Like we're just, it's just, that's it. Like no remorse, no nothing. And I think the frustrating thing was that everyone was like, yo, it took 2 days for anything to happen to this man. You know, it took 2 days. And I'm not even, and like I said, I'm not speaking on just black people. Like, there was a protest in New York where there was an elderly man who got in the police's face and protested, and they pushed him back, and he fell and cracked his head up, where you see blood on the floor. And then one officer tried to help him up, and another officer said, nope, keep on going. And they marched right over that man. Like that's the kind of law enforcement that's protecting us today. That's the kind of law enforcement that's protecting us today. Stuff like that kills me. I'm just that makes me laugh, because I'm like, yo, man, like what happened to you upholding the law and protecting this? And if it was me and I was on that force and someone knocked someone down, tried to help them out, and they tried to drag me away, I'd have broke that hold and be like, yo, you don't see this man? This elderly man who's on the floor, who cannot move, who's bleeding from his head. We need to do something. Now, sometimes, I'm not a doctor, but sometimes head injuries, the blood seems a lot more worse than it really is. But we don't know the effect of what happened when he hit the ground. But you know, I'm still lost for words for that. I think that whole force, they end up quitting. I think that, I don't know if the whole force or some of the people on that force, they quit because of that, because they didn't want to be, they were going to be crucified. And they said, no, we're just going to quit. You know, that's why we have protests of people saying defund the police so they can just rebuild restructure it. And I just think that it's not about, yes, the restructuring is there, but it's not about that. It's about having conversations like this is what's going to help change everything. What's going on, Hector? It's conversations like this that's going to change everything. It's going to help educate those who don't fully understand what's really going on. You know, like I said, man, and I'm not saying this is a theory, this is a correct theory, but it's a incredible blessing and coincidence that, yes, we're dealing with this corona, and we're still dealing with it. We're reopening, and now cases are spiking up. That's ridiculous, but that's a whole nother conversation. That we're forced to slow down our daily lives. We're forced to slow down and take a breath, and then this happens, and now we're all standing up for it. We're all standing up and say, yo, enough is enough. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is. When I first saw it, like, you see everyone marching and standing up and saying, yo, this is wrong, this shouldn't. It was crazy to me when I saw that. You know, you see all walks of life marching, covering all of Beverly Hills, covering all of Hollywood, standing in front of the White House, standing in front of city halls. And now I'm condoning peaceful protests, not opportunists. Which I have a word to say about opportunists, but I'm not going to talk about it here. I have words to say about opportunists, especially one in particular. But yo, man, to see everyone just standing together for something that we've been fighting this for by ourselves for a very long time, and for people to actually see this and be like, yo, man, we need to. I have, and I'm not sure if this is what their mindset was, but I'm just probably saying that a lot of the people who are standing up with us have African American friends. And I always switch between black and African American because I'm just switching up the verbiage or the word, the subject or the noun, or what. My English is horrible. I'm switching up to saying black and African American. I'm switching it up, not for any other reason. But a lot of them like, yo, we have black friends too. We don't want them to be dealing with that, having to have one day I'm talking to them on the phone, and then they're gonna meet up here, and all of a sudden they get killed because police roughed them up in the wrong. I don't want that to happen. So a lot of them stood up, and some people are opening their eyes and seeing for the first time, like, what? This is this inequality is happening, and I've been here and I've been blind to it. I remember there was a video where this girl, she was talking to her dad, and she was trying to explain to her dad, they're not getting the equal rights. They're being discriminated. They're not, and he was trying to write it off. He was like, no, they should try, da da da. And she was like, no, it's not because they don't try. It's because they just don't. They're just not afforded they're not given the opportunity because of the color of their skin. They're not given the opportunity. It's not because we don't try. I think, and I may be wrong. This is just me in my mode of making theories. Like I said, my generation right now, the past generation, we are carrying a generation of discrimination, racial profiling, racism, all this stuff. We were given that at birth. We had to bear that burden at birth. So it's only made us fight even harder. We were so then when we go through stuff like that, where we jump through all the hurdles and hoops and all this stuff just so we can get here, and either we're not awarded it, we're not given the opportunity that we deserve, or we're given 10 times more than what we already had to do. And it's just like, are you serious? Like, what we did everything you asked us to do. Now you're asking me to do more? You're asking me to kill myself now so I can do more? And I'm not saying that we give up because we're tired or whatever, but I can see why. I can see why we're just like, you know what? Ain't even worth it. But then I can also see why those who are where they are is because they kept on fighting. They kept on struggling. I can say this, that as a black entertainer on here, I have to struggle. I have to fight to continue to do the things that I want to do. Try not to dip too much in that stereotype, because it sucks, because we're boxed in this stereotypical box where. I remember one time I was working at Rouse, and I usually help this one lady who I help out. I don't want to, because and I'll say it, she's very ignorant, and I say that because she said this to me. That made me know that she was very ignorant. And ignorant's a very heavy word, but I say it because this is what describes this lady. I was helping her out to her car with her groceries, and she was like, she asked me what I wanted to do. And I told her, I want to go to school. I want to do computer animation and da 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 da. And she said, oh, that's really interesting. I never knew. And she was like, and I was like, why? What do you mean? And then she said, yeah, because I always thought that, you would, I thought you would want to be a basketball player or a comedian. And I'm the type of person, when I see that stuff, I egg it on, because I want to see how far people go. I'm that person. If I see something like that, I'm going to egg it on. And for those who've talked to me and I've been in conversations, like, I think me and Cliff were talking to this one guy. It was a while back, and he was on one. And I think I was purposely egging him on because I wanted to see how far he would go with this conversation. Now, it wasn't racial. It was just something that was very stupid and there was nothing back in it. And I was kind of egging him on to kind of see how far does his ignorance go. Like, I want to see how far he would go with it, even though he's making zero sense. I want to see what he has. I did it with this lady. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what? I was like, really? I was like, what made you think I would want to be an athlete or whatever? I just kept egging her on because I want to see how far her ignorance went. But she was, and I don't use ignorance much, but she was very ignorant. She said that she saw me being a basketball player or a comedian, not knowing that I am I'm worth a lot more than that. Now, I'm not saying that I couldn't be a comedian. I think I'm pretty funny, but that's just not the road I wanted to go on. And so, to be put in that box by people already, it's sad, because she doesn't know me. She doesn't know what I'm worth. She doesn't know what kind of education or talent I have. So the fact that I'm automatically put in the box of being an athlete or a comedian or music art or whatever, that's sad to me. It's it's I still look back at that. I'm like, dude, that's hilarious. How that lady just straight up said, yo, you should be this, and I'm like, okay. And I egged her on. I was like, what do you mean? Like, give me some details. What do you mean? I just kept egging her on, and because I'm that type of person. But yeah, man, it's just it just has to stop, man. And I think it will. And I think the one thing I take from that podcast and what I want to continue to do myself is, even after this is all over, just to continue to educate myself so I can educate others, and so we can continue to have these conversations, because that's the only way we can truly make change, is if we continue to have these conversations and talk about just this in general. And like I said before, and I said this 10,000 times already, I'm not saying any other race is irrelevant in the situation. It's just that right now it's truly affecting black men and female. And like I said before, yes, all lives matter. Going back to what Andreas Hall said, he said, okay, cool, all lives matter, yes, but that's not the house that's on fire right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what's going on right now. We're being attacked. So for those who say all lives matter, you're kind of just putting a blanket over it. Yes, all lives matter, but all lives aren't in danger right now. All lives aren't in the situation that's in danger right now. And I remember seeing this, someone tried to put this scripture on, and for those who know me, I am a religious man, and I try to practice my religion every single day. I do fall short, but I try to practice every day. And someone put the scripture up, and it just didn't sit right by me. And I have it right here. Let me see if I can. Well, no, I can remember it. Someone said it was from Luke verse 15. I think it was First Luke verse 15, where he tried to say, no, let me look for it. I have it because I was looking at it earlier today, and it just kind of got me. So here it is. It says right here. He was paraphrasing it, and he said that there are 100 sheep, but one goes missing. Jesus leaves the 99 to goes after it. And then he tries to put quotes that what they were saying, that he said the 99, but what happened? But what about us? Don't we matter? Of course the 99 matter, but they're not the ones in danger. There is one. He said hashtag Black Lives Matter. So I get what he was trying to do, but it was completely taken out of context. What it's saying is, if Jesus is our shepherd. If you guys heard that the Lord is my shepherd. It's saying in that verse, it's saying that we're his children. He has his children with him. But then if one strays off, he leaves the rest of his flock and goes to save him. Now what that means is if one person strays off to the life of sin, he tries to go back and brings them back. And then when he does, the scripture says, I'm paraphrasing, the scripture says, rejoice because my child has returned, which means his child has repented of his sin and has come back to the flock. So that's what that means. It's not saying that it's I get what they're trying to say here, but what the scripture is really saying is, he's bringing someone who was once his child. He goes back and saves him from the life of sin because he strayed, and he's bringing him back, saying, rejoice, someone for our flock has now returned. Return to our flock. And so I get what he was saying, but I was just like, it kind of took it out a little bit out of context there. But there's people who try to say all lives matter, all lives, and I'm like, yo, man, I get it, but it's you know, we got to take care of this first before we go here. So, but that's kind of really what I wanted to talk about. I've been on for like an hour talking about this. I said that I was going to bring some people on here. If you're on my Discord, if you're on my Discord chat, you guys feel free to come in right now. You can go into the general, and you guys could say what you know. This ain't just about me. This is about everyone who has a say and wanna have their voice heard. Like, this isn't a small platform, but it is a platform that can be used to spread this out to everyone else. So if you guys feel like you have something you want to say, or you want to ask me something, feel free to jump into the chat, to the VC right here, and say what you have to say. Hopefully you can hear it. We'll be able to hear you. I should work because I have the desktop on, so I'm about to jump into here right now. I saw JKW in here. Okay, there he goes. Hopefully we can hear you on here. I'm not sure. Let me turn the music down a little bit. Hopefully you can hear yourself on here. On the live streaming here.
I'm trying to hear myself.
Let me know when you do.
I don't sound.
Cause it should work. I have my desktop audio on. Maybe I have to turn this up a little bit. I'll turn the audio a little bit up. Hopefully that'll work. He says Enos says he heard you. But yeah, if you have whatever you want to say, man, this is free reign. You can express whatever you want to express on here.
From what I was playing Mario Kart while listening to this, but I completely agree. Like, it's not right for just having this whole thing, like separating different races it shouldn't be a thing. It should be like nice and like mixed in with each other, because that's how it should be. And like, for me, I've had no problem with anyone in school, like, with racism or anything. Like, I have a friend of mine from school. He's from I think he's Indian, but he's a really good friend, and I knew him like a lot longer than I originally thought. And it was insane when I got into high school and I saw him again. And yeah, but it's just like, I've had no problem with different races at all.
Right.
And I've always accepted it as like, everyone is different. Everyone should be treated as equal. Nothing else.
Yeah.
And
then, go ahead.
And then there's just those people who just don't accept it. Just want, oh, you're different. Just we're superior to you. Just get out of it. Or you can do this for us and do that. Like, that shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, and it's the thing, and it sucks about that too, is because it's at an age where people aren't really taught that, and that's why I say I don't think parents should shield their kids from it, and I think it's a hard thing to talk about too, because it's like, yes, you're as we're raised to think to believe that we're all equal, and which it is, but in the reality it's just not what it is, but that's how it should be. And when and this is a story that kind of coincides with that. When I was listening to the podcast, Xavier Woods, he told a story that there was this kid who said something to him, and it was just like he just didn't understand it. So he went to his mom and he was like, "This was said to me," and the mom was just mortified, and she took him to the kid's house and was like, "This is why your son said this to my son. This is why this happened," and whatever. And I think the mom said, "Okay, well, you guys are gonna walk to school together and walk home together and da da da." And then, just as they were doing that, friendship came from it, and it was just because, the kids, he didn't understand. So then when they were put in that situation, they were kind of forced to kind of build that bond, and they not forced it, but they were forced to kind of walk with each other, but that friendship came from it later. And it just goes to show that, even though we're different, we're all the same. We all have the same likes, we all have the same dislikes, or just in general terms, we all have the same likes and dislikes. And there was another story I heard from Kofi from that podcast where they were saying something, or was it Kofi? I think it was Andreas Hall who said it, told the story, and he was like, they said something, and it was like, "My dad shot you and he won the war." He's like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "My dad shot you, the black person. We don't want you here. You're not supposed to be here." And so he went home and tried to explain to his grandmother, which his grandmother was Italian, and she was just like, "Are you serious?" Like da da da. And he was young, so he didn't understand why someone would say that to him. And I think the hardest thing for a parent is to kind of educate your child, but at the same time you're gonna have to take away that logic of that reality of we're all equal, we all are treated the same, because we're not. And like I said, that happened. We were taught, I don't remember when, but we were taught that, and that's how we were able to deal with whatever came our way as we got older. So it was definitely something I'm glad we did deal with at that age. But like I said before, I don't think it's a time where kids should be sheltered by it, and especially nowadays, because technology is such a necessity that kids can easily access it anywhere. They can say, "Oh, what's going on?" They can look and see, like, well, what does it mean that that this and this, and for parents to kind of dance around it, that's not healthy, because then your kids are gonna grow up with their interpretation of it and not really get the gist of it, which they should have their own, I don't want to say own interpretation of it, but their own understanding of it. That we all bleed the same blood. We all go through the same struggles as anyone else. So, with that knowledge, we can just continue to grow in this situation and go past the situation. So that's how I feel about that. But anyway, I do appreciate you coming on here and saying what you wanted to say on here. Yeah, I do appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I don't agree with racism with that. I don't agree with it. It shouldn't be like that, but it's just how it is, like you said.
Yeah.
Like, we can't stop it, really, but we can try and just like keep it down to a minimum, maybe. But there's just going to be those people, you know.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just educating and having these kind of talks is what's going to get it to the point where it won't be where it is now.
Mm.
So, but if there's anyone else here in the chat who wants to jump in and express how they're feeling about this whole situation or have any questions, you guys can feel free to do that on here. It is open. I saw Cliff on here. I wasn't sure if he was gonna jump on or if he was busy doing something.
Yeah, I'm not sure about news. I think he's still working.
Yeah, if not, I mean it's all good. I'll go on for another couple minutes before we end things off. It's crazy because like I had a video I'm working on a video and I was like, dude, I can't finish this video until I do this.
Like, yeah.
It was just one of those situations where like I have this video ready to go, but I just don't feel like I can do it without covering this topic.
Yeah, because it's just on your mind and you just like you can't
Mm-hmm.
focus without
Mm-hmm.
just like you want to say everything before like you continue. So,
Yeah,
understandable.
exactly.
I think it would have been like early in like really early in the morning, like
Yeah,
about 6 o'clock maybe.
yeah, yeah. Well,
So,
if that is it, then I will end it off here. Then we've been talking for about an hour 24. I really didn't think I'd go that long, but
but it's a big topic. I mean,
yeah.
we can just go anywhere, really. Like,
And I was pushing it back because first I was like, I'm gonna do it at 12, I'm gonna do it at 11, but let me do it at 2 because I feel like that's a better time. It's around the after, still kind of afternoon or in the evening for some people, where we do this. Yeah. Oh, it's Cliff. If you want to jump on the VC, Cliff, and you can, say what you have to say on here too. This is open for anyone who wants to, express anything on here. Honestly, because this is a topic that we should continue to try to talk about and stuff like that. I don't even know what chat I jumped into. Okay, I was jumping around on my Discord. I don't even know where I jumped in. Hector, yeah. This is yeah, I heard about that one. Oh, okay. He said he can't. Well, all right.
but
All right. Well, that is going to be it. Thank you, JKW, for coming on here and expressing, what you wanted to say. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate you coming through. I appreciate everyone coming through actually today. So that was yeah, honestly, I was like, I wasn't sure if anyone would come, but if they don't, I'm just gonna keep talking for an hour, and it'll just be like a video up. It'll just be a VOD on here. But I appreciate that, and I'm gonna jump off this call and then end this off here. But again, JKW, thank you for coming on the VC and talking with me here today.
no problem.
All right.
It's not just as me as a mod. Like, I just do it as like being a friend.
Oh yeah, of
That's what
course.
they see it as it is. Like, if I was just here as a mod, I probably will do it, but I wouldn't like. I'm just not like that person. I do it as a friend, not as a mod. Like, I'm not that sort of person.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that. All right. Well, we'll talk to you later, JKW.
All right, no problem.
All right. Thank you again.
It's all right. See you.
All right. All right, so that is going to be it. Yeah, we've been talking for almost an hour and a half, so yeah, I thought that was cool what JKW said, man. I do see him as a friend as well, and to have his support on here and have everyone's support on here as well is actually really cool. So this is like I said, this is a topic that is very, not a lot of people want to talk about this, but it has to be talked about because that's the only way we can bring about some sort of change in what's going on, is us sitting down and talking about it and having these discussions, because the only way we're going to, it's what's happening now. Only we can change if we all come together and putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations to where we can really make change. You know, it does not just about protesting. It's not about that. We have to educate for those who don't go out and protest and who kind of just sit at home and kind of read stuff. We do have to educate them and let them know, hey, you know, we're struggling through this. This is what we're going through, and this is what, you know, what needs to be done. So, but that's gonna be it, guys. I'm not gonna do my normal spill or whatever. If you guys do like and subscribe and all that stuff, well, I do ask to share this. That's what I do want to ask. I do want to ask to share this around for those who weren't here. Post it on your social media, pin it, story it on Instagram or whatever, however you get it out there. We want to make sure this goes out to everybody, so then we can continue to do our part to make change. Like I said, I don't protest. I don't go out and do protesting and everything like that. It's just not in me. I don't know if I did say that, but I don't go out and do protests. It's not something that's in me, but I will do my part to kind of spread the awareness out there. So, and all we gotta do is gotta keep on this road and you know, make sure our voices are heard. So again, guys, thank you for coming out and listening. I do appreciate that. I will have that video up tomorrow. Now I'm like, cool, I done this, so now I can go work on it. So I will have that video up tomorrow. Also tomorrow I'm going to be guest starring in I'm not guest starring, I'm filling in Black Pokemon Trainer spot in the podcast tomorrow on a Gamers Realm. So you guys go check it out. I will share it with you guys tomorrow. Yeah, I'll share it with you guys tomorrow. You guys make sure you guys go check it out. They're doing some cool stuff on there as well. And I think we're having another discussion on the 20th about this, about what I'm talking about today. So make sure you guys go check that out there. We're pretty much gonna probably cover everything that we talked about today on that call on Saturday, June 20th. So I'll share it on Discord and retweet it and tweet it out and all that stuff as well when we get closer to it. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much again. I do appreciate you guys coming out here. Make sure you guys share this, let everybody know the situation if they have not known about it. I don't know how you haven't known about it, but if you're living under a rock and you're just like, nope, we don't want to know what's going on, we're dealing with Corona, we need anything else, it's like, this is just something else that happened. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna leave the music playing for a little bit before we end it, and I will see you guys on the next one. You guys take care. Take care.